Denis Shapovalov is hoping to learn from playing his idol Roger Federer after exiting the Miami Open. Denis Shapovalov is hoping to learn from the enjoyable experience of playing Roger Federer after exiting the Miami Open. It was a special moment for the Canadian last night after playing his idol Roger Federer in the semi-finals of the Miami Open last night. The moment is something Shapovalov will never forget, but the result is something he will want to forget in a hurry after losing 6-2, 6-4 in convincing fashion. After a poor first set, the Canadian played better in the second set before Federer survived the storm to reach the final in Miami once again. After the match, Shapovalov described the experience as enjoyable and is looking to learn from the occasion. "Yeah, definitely, it's always tough to lose, but yeah, it's definitely enjoyable to be out there with your idol on the court," Shapovalov said in his press conference. "I was just trying to play as good as I can, and, you know, he did a good job today. He played an excellent match. I wasn't able to kind of stay at his level. So, you know, I'm just going to try to learn from this and move forward." Despite the result last night, reaching his first Masters 1000 semi-final is something to be proud of, and after an inconsistent 18 months, the Canadian finally put his game together this week. The 19-year-old also acknowledged that he wasn't playing at his 100% best, but credited the 20-time Grand Slam champion for causing that. "Honestly, I don't think I was able to play at 100% at my level today, but, you know, that's why he's so good," Shapovalov explained. "You know, he didn't let me kind of get into my groove and get into my game. That's just, you know, it shows how experienced and how good he is." Next up for Shapovalov is the clay court season, which is something that could favor the Canadian, as he suggested in his press conference. "Honestly, yeah, it's kind of a good part of the season for me. I think I have proven myself on the dirt. I see that I can play on it and beat good players on it." The first tournament of Shapovalov's clay court season is the Monte Carlo Rolex Masters, which starts on the 15th of April. John Isner is aiming for a second consecutive Miami Open after beating Felix Auger-Aliassime. John Isner, at ATP_Tour Twitter. John Isner continues his winning streak in tiebreaks after beating Felix Auger-Aliassime 7-6, 3-7, 6-4, to reach back-to-back finals in Miami. The defending champion is 9-0 in tiebreaks this week after beating 18-year-old qualifier Felix Auger-Aliassime to reach a second consecutive final in Miami. In a topsy-turvy match, Auger-Aliassime served for both sets, but his inexperience proved costly as Isner battled back to seal the win. As a result, Isner will look to successfully defend his title on Sunday when he faces either Roger Federer or Denis Shapovalov. It was uncharted territory for the talented Canadian as he was competing in his first ever Masters 1000 semi-final. However, that didn't seem to faze him early on as he produced some comfortable holds of serve early on. Not only was the 18-year-old serving well, he was constructing some good shots on return as he looked to take his opportunities on the Isner serve when they arrived. After saving 3 breakpoints with 3 aces in the 5th game, Isner was unable to hold for much longer as he was remarkably broken to love. Advantage to the Canadian. However, in tennis you can't buy experience, and that was costing Auger-Aliassime in the latter stages of the first set as 3 double faults meant that he was broken back. Unlike Auger-Aliassime, the American had plenty of experience and knew that he couldn't waste his opportunity. After forcing a tiebreak, Isner played some hammering forehands and great volleys to take the tiebreak 7-3. It was a lesson for Felix, but one he needed to learn from quickly if he wanted to reach the final in Miami. Both men were working hard at the start of the second set to try and protect their serve as the start seemed crucial. One trait for Auger-Aliassime that we've been used to seeing in the past few weeks is his ability to never give up, and that was evident when he once again broke for a 4-2 lead. But it was another moment of hesitation and nerves for the youngster as he once again failed to close out the set to hand Isner the break back. It was a great tournament for Felix, but he was simply outdone by nerves and inexperience as Isner took another tiebreak to seal his place in the Miami final for a second year in a row. Despite the result, Auger-Aliassime will climb to 33 in the world and can look forward to making more statements on his preferred surface, clay. On the other hand, Isner will now aim to successfully defend his Miami title when he faces Roger Federer or Denis Shapovalov on Sunday. Daria Gavrilova has appointed a new coach in David Taylor as she looks to turn her form around. Daria Gavrilova, at Tennis Australia, Twitter. Daria Gavrilova has appointed compatriot David Taylor as her new coach until July after a slow start to the 2019 season. Having only won 2 of her 10 matches so far this season, Gavrilova has decided to bring an experienced Aussie David Taylor to her team. Taylor has worked with former number ones such as Martina Hingis and Ana Ivanovic before as he looks to turn Gavrilova's year around. Speaking about the potential partnership, Taylor has said that Gavrilova has some goals in mind. When we decided to start, she's been very good in communication already, Taylor told Australian reporters. She set out goals. She wants to get a lot more defined in her playing style, looking for forehands, using her movement in an offensive way, not just a defensive way. Having clear patterns of play to build her game around, I like that. The fact she's looking to be a lot more structured. The partnership will begin in Rabat, Morocco in late April, and will last until after Wimbledon, where they will review the success of their partnership. In addition to Hingis and Ivanovic, the Australian has also recently worked with Madison Keys, Jelena Ostapenko and Elise Mertens, who won her first premier event under Taylor in Doha. The former Fed Cup captain hopes that previous experience with Gavrilova will help their relationship. I think being Australian, and for so long being the Fed Cup captain and just involved in Australian tennis, Taylor explained. Even though I've coached outside of Australia for so long, I've just taken a real notice and interest in Gavrilova. I think it's gonna be a very easy start, just because I know her so well. The only 2 wins of Gavrilova's season came in Indian Wells where she beat Diana Yastremska and Mihaela Buzarnescu. Now the world number 54 is preparing for Australia's Fed Cup semi-final against Belarus in Brisbane, which is on the weekend of the 20th–21 stone of April. On Thursday, the men complete their quarter-finals, while the women play the semi-finals. Kevin Anderson, photo by Chrysaline Cayo, copyright at Sport Vision. The first women's semi-final features 2 young players who have never advanced this far at a premier mandatory event, 22-year-old Ash Barty and 23-year-old Annette Kontaveit. The first men's quarter-final of the day similarly highlights the ATP's youth movement, with 19-year-old Denis Shapovalov and 21-year-old Frances Tiafoe. The second women's semi-final sees a former world number 1 just 1 match win away from reclaiming that ranking, against a former major finalist looking for her first premier mandatory final. And in the last men's quarter-final, it's 2 players in their 30s. 32-year-old Kevin Anderson is vying for the biggest title of his career, and 37-year-old Roger Federer is going for career title number 101. Roger Federer, 4, versus Kevin Anderson, 6. Embed from Getty Images. Federer is 5-1 against Anderson, but that one loss was a big one. Federer was up 2 sets and had a match point last year in the Wimbledon quarter-finals, yet Anderson climbed his way back to win 13-11 in the 5th. That's actually the only match in which Kevin has taken a set from Roger. Federer would avenge that loss later in the year, and in the same city, with a straight-set win at the ATP Finals. Roger didn't play his best tennis at the start of this tournament, but he's improved with every round, and looked very sharp yesterday against Daniil Medvedev. Anderson has been suffering from a right elbow injury, and had to pull out of both the New York Open and Indian Wells. It's impressive that he's advanced to this quarterfinal having not played since the Australian Open, though he's yet to play a seeded player. This matchup leans heavily toward Federer's favor, and he's the more informed player. Roger will be motivated to not allow Kevin to get another win over him. As Ben Rothenberg quoted Federer on Twitter, "If you beat me at Wimbledon, you've got my attention." Simona Halep, 2, vs. Karolina Pliskova, 5, embed from Getty Images. These two just played an extremely competitive Fed Cup match just last month, with Halep prevailing 6-4 in the third. Halep holds a 7-2 record over Pliskova, with most of her victories coming in straight sets. The only times Karolina has gotten the better of Simona are last year on clay in Madrid, and in a 2016 Fed Cup match. Other than a scare in her third-round match here against Polona Hercog, Halep has advanced comfortably to this semi-final. Pliskova's path was a bit more complicated, as she twice had to go deep into a third set to survive. Karolina has been the healthier and more successful player this year. She is 20-4 in 2019, with a title win in Brisbane, a semi-final run in Melbourne, and quarter-final run 2 weeks ago in Indian Wells. Pliskova's tennis has been much improved over the past 6 months with the joint coaching team of Renee Stubbs and Conchita Martinez. Halep had about half as many wins as Pliskova in the year coming into this tournament, though she's playing her best tennis of the season with her own coaching situation now settled. This matchup is to Halep's advantage, as she makes it difficult for Pliskova to hit through her. But will she feel the pressure of regaining the #1 ranking with a win today? We saw her lose several such matches which would have earned her that ranking in 2017. This could easily become a prolonged contest, and if so, I wonder how Halep's knee will hold it, as it's been taped all week. In a month where we've seen a lot of upsets on the American hard courts, I'm going with Pliskova to advance to Saturday's final. She's the player with more confidence and momentum. Other notable matches on day 11 embed from Getty Images. Denis Shapovalov 20 vs Francis Tiafoe 28. They've split 2 previous matches, both last year on American hard courts. Ash Barty 12 vs Anett Kontaveit 21. Their first meeting will be one of the most important matches in both of their young careers.